Welcome to the Journey Coach. I'm Dr. Tami Moser, and at the Journey Coach, we are a group of professionals that are very passionate about helping those of you that are working on your doctorate successfully work through your program and complete your dissertation. Today, we're going to talk about the 6 habits of a successful doctoral student. And really, these particular habits set you up for success later on. So the 6 habits that you can start to put into place now that will set you up for success throughout your program and when you get to your actual dissertation starts with being organized. And I have some other videos that focus on how to organize, set up a file system, but you need to use something that works for you. And however you design that system, you need to be consistent throughout your program. Now, that doesn't mean you might not revisit it at some point and make some changes on how you're organizing, especially as you continue to get larger libraries of both articles and your work. And you want to have a system for keeping track of all of your discussion posts, all of your written assignments, so that that work is available to you later to reference. But that means you have to start with a system in mind and be organized as you work through your program. So that's the first habit of a successful doctoral student, is getting that organization in place. The next is to stick to the schedule, right? Each class has a schedule. You don't want to get off that schedule, start submitting things late, ask for extensions. That tends to escalate and build up as you're working in a class. Some programs don't even allow it. So if you don't hit the deadlines, you are out of luck, and that's a 0 on an assignment. And I've had students in doctoral classes fail because they have not submitted work on time, and the policy is that those are a 0. Now, professors can and do have some leeway on that. And I, of course, depending on the university, provide that leeway. But what you have to understand is then you have to follow up to make sure you can submit the work late, what the deadline is for that, and then meet it. But if you start down that roller coaster, you can end up crashing at the bottom and going off the rails because too much starts to be late. So that time management component and really being aware of the time, the schedule, and the deadlines is so incredibly important. And that will help you a great deal in terms of having that habit when you get to the dissertation and need to set your own deadlines and meet them. So that would be the second habit, right? Is sticking to the schedule, managing your time effectively so you can meet that. The next is to leverage your wait time. I think one of the things that gets in the way, especially of professionals who have a full-time career, often are balancing family commitments. And then on top of that, have added this layer of education that's often very difficult. And that, the success rate in doctoral programs is in the 50% range. So it's easy to fail in these classes. And some of that has to do with not only how you manage time, but how you leverage wait time. So for instance, you have to take your child to the doctor, right? And let's say they're of an age where they can entertain themselves sitting in the waiting room, or you're having to go to a doctor's appointment and you're sitting in the waiting room, or you're on a soccer field watching your kid play. All of that has what I would consider wait time involved, right? You're sitting around doing nothing. And that's time you can leverage. So one of the things you need to be able to do is access articles on your phone, on your tablet, whatever you tend to carry away around with you in terms of electronics. You want to be able to access things you need to read, watch. Most programs will have videos embedded in part of what you need to look at. So for that week, just know that you need to leverage that wait time wherever it exists in your schedule. It can be something like sitting in a carpool lane, and you know that you're going to be sitting there for 30 minutes between the time you get there and you have kids load up in the car and you can drive away. Like, the best time to be reading an article and leveraging that wait time. It helps you exponentially find more time to read, watch videos, make sure that you're reading other posts in the discussion board, right? So leverage that wait time. That's habit number 3. Then you really need to find a cite as you write program. APA becomes such a big deal, or it may be AMA, whatever you happen to be using. And this ties with habit number 5. I probably should have flipped these, but I'm going to start with the cite as you write. I really recommend Citavi, Citavi, and we'll put a link in the description below. Citavi is one of the only programs I've found that is a knowledge management program that also has the cite as you write. Now, if you've got another one that actually captures knowledge, then let me know, because I'm always looking to test that kind of technology and see how it works in flow. But Citavi has a lot of great things going for it. They now have a web version that allows for those of us on Macs who don't want to run parallels and a Windows system on our Mac to be able to access it and use it effectively. So Citavi is your friend, but what it allows you is that cite as you write. Now you can use something more simplistic like Mendeley, Zotero, but I recommend from the beginning stage of your program, from the very beginning, you use cite as you write. It puts your references in, it keeps your citations clear. If you're using something, all the ones I listed actually allow you to choose whether you're an APA 7th, you need to use AMA. It has that built in. And so this becomes so helpful because you're not constantly going, do I have a reference for that citation there? Oh, I've got to use this reference 10 times over this week, and I have to manually add the citation and then get yourself cite as you write software. It will allow you to attach that to Word. Now, there are a few, and I think Zotero is one of the ones that allows you to use Google Drive. Google Drive also has its own that you can, and I want to say it's Papers, but I could be off on that. But one of the things you can use with the Google Drive, and I'll look it up and make sure that we have that in the information below so that you'll know for Google Drive what you can look up. But if you use Google Drive exclusively for your work, then that's probably the cite as you write you want to invest in. And none of them are very expensive. They run from free to a student cost of, I think Citavi is like $50 a year or something like that. So look for the student prices. If you want to use a free one, that's absolutely fine. I do not like RefWorks at all. It's very old school, like 90s Windows kind of software. And so I don't recommend that. And I would say if you stay away from that, that's a really good thing. I know a lot of universities use that and have you store those in there, but trust me, you're going to be better off putting it into a system that also allows you to take some level of notes. In a Mendeley or a Zotero, it'll allow you to access the PDF, write some notes, highlight some material. That brings us to really capturing and storing your literature and the knowledge you're gaining from that literature. That's where it really moves over into Citavi. Now you can do manual systems. If you're a Notion fanatic, you can use the library we've had put in the Notion template, which we're updating. Once we have it updated, I'll link it back here. Or you can sign up for our newsletter, and when that's updated, we'll put that in the newsletter. So you can also choose to do that, the JC Dispatch. We send those out once a month unless something really amazing is going on, so we don't bombard you with communications, but it also allows you to get updates on templates and things that we've put out. But back to Citavi and use of that. If you're a Word user as your writing format, then what I highly suggest is Citavi. Invest in it, use it from the beginning, store your knowledge in there. It actually allows you to not just mark up the PDF and pull out quotes and summaries that you write and place them in an outline for specific papers that you can use, and then copy over project libraries so that when you get to your dissertation, you could have a large body of literature. You could also have it categorized, and then you also already have not only quotes that you've pulled out, but summaries and synthesis that you've added in, notes about multiple articles that you've put in place. It really provides you a robust way to manage that knowledge and pull it together and then leverage it across your courses and in your final dissertation work. Will you use all of it? Absolutely not. But it gives you a way to store and manage it. Now, you don't like Citavi, you don't want to use that. You still need to do that. That is a habit you want to get in, because you're going to get to the end and have done all this work on literature, and some of it you'll go, oh, this is really relevant to my dissertation topic, and I can really use this. But where is it? How do I access that? Well, go on a hunt. Whereas if you've designed a system where you've got keywords and you've got categories, and then you've got all of your knowledge you actually really worked to capture, you are in such a better position, and you've eliminated some of your work, right? In other courses and in the end. So I can't recommend this enough. To me, this is one of those habits that if you don't get into, you'll kick yourself when you get to the end, and there's nothing you can do about it then. In addition, if you want something like to use a Notion, you could use an Excel database. You could create an Excel, but that's not really great. A database is kind of what you're looking for. That's what Citavi is, and that's what Notion is, and how we put that together, right? It's your library, and it is a database you can search to find material, comments, and things of that nature. And then that brings us to the sixth habit. And, this one is almost the equivalent of having a researcher's journal at the very end when you're working on your dissertation, but it's keeping that kind of journal and those notes as you move through your program. There are going to be things that really interest you. There are going to be courses or assignments where you're reading and you're like, I think that's a gap in the literature, or man, that identifies a problem that could be really interesting to explore. You are not going to remember that even the next week when you're already moving on and working on the next set of materials. So what you need to do is start capturing those notes for yourself now. You could organize them by class, by topic, both. You basically, and you can use something like our Notion library. Again, we have got a researcher note template, and you could use something like that just to keep track of them. You could just have a notebook, right? Get yourself a little notebook like this, and from the beginning of your program to the end of your program, when something interests you, you think you've identified a gap, just make a note. By the time you get to the end of your program, then you've got something to go back and look through to see if any of it is relevant to what you're thinking about now. Your focus will change, and the things you're interested in will change as you move through the courses. But it gives you more to work with, think through, talk with your chair about when you get to the end. It is a good habit to get into, to capture that information from the beginning. Capture your thoughts, feelings, interests as you go. And part of that is predicated on having a good way to capture knowledge about your literature and really keep up with that, because that's part of what's going to trigger interests, gaps, identifying potential problems, identifying theories, models, constructs that you find incredibly interesting to use as a theoretical frame, right? And you don't know if it'll be part of your theoretical frame or if it'll even really work by the time you get to your topic, but it interests you. Well, again, next class, you're moving on to other theories, models, constructs, and you've moved past that. But if I can keep track of it and just make a note, hey, I really like Porter's 5 forces. I like the way it helps me look at a competitive environment. And I want to keep that in mind, because a strategic focus for my dissertation is something I'm seriously considering, or I think would be really interesting of a twist in terms of my topic and HR training. And, I'm just pulling this out of my hat here, but you can see how just going, I want to keep this model in mind. Make a note. So that last habit sets you up for success as you get to the end as well. Now, that being said, it also can help you really pull other kinds of theories into and models into work in future classes and be able to go, oh, this really connects here. Now you're starting to build that more academic focus and that scholar the ability to bring the scholar into your thinking and have more complex thinking about topics in other classes, because now you're starting to connect some of these theories and models and constructs across these subject areas. And so that habit helps you also build those more complex thinking skills related to the scholarship component of the work you're doing. I hope this helps in terms of just getting you set up for success and realizing these habits are incredibly important and can make a real difference in you being successful in the long run. So if this video was helpful to you, be sure and hit the like button, subscribe. We put out videos every week, 4 to 5 a month. We aim to have them out on Tuesdays, so that's a good day to check in. But if you subscribe, you'll get an alert. And also don't forget to sign up for the JC Dispatch. Like I said, we only send that out once a month. We don't bombard you with information, but it gives you a list of the videos that are going to be coming out, any podcasts we have, interviews we're going to be doing, webinars that are going to be coming up, and any specials or new services we're offering in our programs. I, as always, wish you great success as you move toward the doctorate, and just realize you are not alone, that both the feelings you have about it, the frustrations that build up, those are normal and everybody has them. And so come back and visit us as you feel the need, and we look forward to talking to you next week.